When I first heard of Swedish death cleaning, I was like, yeesh, that sounds really dark. I've actually come to realize that whether or not you are near the end of your life, this is actually a life giving, super relaxed, and easy way to take care of your home. So that you not only leave less for your family to clean up, but you also get to live in a nice, tidy home for hopefully a very long time. And my lovely friend Ariel from That Awkward Mom death cleaned her house too, so be sure to check that out after. And I will link it down below and at the end. Swedish Death Cleaning or Dödsstädning is a book written by Margareta Magnusson because she found herself cleaning out a few houses after the death of her parents and her husband, and it got her thinking. So her mom had left items with little tags on them with instructions like to donate this to the museum or to do this or this goes to so-and-so.
Handy.
Her husband left neatly organized tools, but my husband will leave a legacy of t-shirts.
My husband will leave a legacy of beard hair.
But this is less about other people and more about ourselves and what we are leaving behind and what we are continuing to live with. Knowing where to start can be intimidating. You might be tempted to go to the most cluttered spot in your home and then dive in, but that could leave you feeling overwhelmed by the volume. Maybe you're going to come across some sentimental things like old report cards or even yearbooks from the past, and you are just looking at those old haircuts and reading those messages, or even just miscellaneous items. And this is why I really love to personally avoid the garage when starting a big declutter. And maybe you might want to also, you might have old camping supplies, dusty jars for canning, old batteries, and you're like, is this battery dead? Is this battery not dead? Margaret explains that it is great to start in the basement or the attic or cupboards by your front door, obviously, depending on how much there is. And I love this idea because these spots can act as temporary holding spots for you to put things as you're shuffling them out of your home. And maybe you even have things that need to go back to people's houses, like those old dishes that they brought during like a potluck or returns to stores. I love that. I am going to start in my guest room. This was my middle son's bedroom until his brother moved out. Now, I don't know about you, but I have been in countless rooms like this, and maybe you have one in your own house where a child used to live in the room, but then they've moved out and then some of their stuff is left behind. I really don't know how far I'm going to get. I'm going to work on the bookshelf a little bit and then the closet because I'm just like, I want to make a dent in this room. Margareta shares that the category that you start with is important too. I completely agree with this because if you start with photographs or letters or personal papers, it might cause you to falter in decision making. Plus, you can get stuck making very little progress. So even when I open my photo app, just for whatever reason, sometimes like I'm looking up like an old thing that I photograph, like a piece of paper, or I go on my computer and I go back in time, like the photo app will be like, here's a memory and it's like a video of my kids. And then I get lost in the memories. Then I start calling my husband in to look at the videos. And then I start texting them to my mom or my kids. And it's just like a complete rabbit hole of feelings. No. Margareta says, choose a category that you believe is easy for you to handle. An easy category is one with many items to choose from and without too much sentimental connection. I don't think this room is going to be too hard. There's a little bit of sentimentality, but not too much. And I think that this is a good place to start because it's going to maybe not be that hard. Margareta always starts with clothes, and she's even decided to keep a beautiful patchwork jacket that she only wears once a year at Christmas. And why should she keep it? It's because she wears it, which I like. If you're using it, then you should keep it. So how do you decide what to keep? Knowing what to keep or let go of can be a challenge sometimes. We might worry that we're going to make a mistake and declutter something that we're going to need one day, which often we call the just in case items. And I'm actually going to go ahead and say you're probably never going to need those things, but that is a topic for another day. Or we're worried somebody might be mad if we declutter something, etc. But if we hold on to too much stuff, we're just left with a whack of stuff still. And that truly defeats the purpose of what we're doing. So my very favorite question that Margareta asks is, will anyone be happy if I keep this? And I honestly cannot think of a better question for this exercise. And you might think, well, everyone will want me to keep everything. And I think the most important word in that sentence is happy. Will anyone be happy if I keep this? And happy doesn't just mean that they think it's interesting, nostalgic, or amusing, so that they're glad that you kept it. It doesn't mean that they won't be a little bit sad if you let something go. Also, they don't need to know everything that's decluttered. Keep that in mind. And who are they anyway? Your family? Yes. But you matter too. Are you happy to keep something? And I know it might feel safe to keep everything and know that it's all there. But there's a reason why having too much stuff stresses us out and it makes our homes feel messy, which is no good. And I always say, we're not necessarily going to be happy to declutter every little thing. Like, we're not going to be like, oh, great, I'm getting rid of this and this and this, and I'm just so happy. But we sure can be relieved and satisfied with results, and then happy with some of those things that we keep. So, for, like tax documents, I'm not happy I kept my tax documents. I need to. So keep things that will make people, including yourself, happy that you kept it. Let's take a time out to discuss the big cloaked elephant in the room, and that would be death. As a nurse, I've gotten a bit more comfortable talking about death. I've seen suffering, I've seen grace. Most of us think we're going to live forever and that there's always going to be time for X thing. But there won't always be time for X thing. However, as an eternal optimist, I also know that after life ends, it also goes on, which is a glorious and beautiful thing. However, sometimes it's hard to imagine a world without me in it. And then I realize, well, most of the world doesn't really have me in it because I'm here on Vancouver Island, in my town, in my house. You don't have to be excited to talk about death, but it's valuable to be aware that things with a deadline tend to have more value, and removing excess stuff now is a great way to save someone from an absolutely massive job when the big day comes. Like, I mean, if you know, it's a really big job. So if we can help our loved ones with that, that would be good. Now, Margareta says, a loved one wishes to inherit nice things from you, but not all things from you. I absolutely love that. Death cleaning is as much or more for you as it is for the people who come after. Remember that.
That woman is so wise.
I know, right? We don't need to keep all of our things forever, and this can actually be a bright time because we are all still here, hopefully for a really long time. I am 45, maybe you're 60, or you're between 80 and 100, as Margareta says when she wrote that book. And I like the idea of looking to see this as planning for a bright future, whether it'll be 1 to 70 years. I like to think of this as life cleaning so that life is brighter, tidier, and more minimal. Okay, back to the guest room. Now, this shelf, I have chatted with my kids, and we're going to get rid of these books here. We are going to get rid of a couple of things in the closet that I talked to them about, and a bunch of these kid books, because a lot of these books, like I had bought or other people had bought in the hopes that the kids would read them, but they didn't really. They're not at all that sentimental. What's great is then this area will be done. So if we move one day, if we downsize, like when the middle kid or the youngest kid moves out of the house, or if whatever happens, or one of us passes away, it's much easier to deal with because this sort of problem area has been dealt with. Also, keep in mind that you want your home to be cozy and comfortable and containing what you actually use, need, and want. Like want to use or enjoy, not just want to keep in a box. This can actually be a very enjoyable process. You're curating a collection of your things. How fun! And you're removing that extra chaff. and you get rid of those things that are in boxes because you're obviously not going to miss them because they've been in boxes for a long time. So going through things shouldn't actually take that long. Also, you need to get help. I love how Margareta encourages involving other people. There is one very important caveat though. If they're going to be stressed out, or they're going to try to talk you out of decluttering, or they're going to hinder you in any way, do not tell them until you absolutely have to, if you have to. Let people know what you're up to, though, for those people that will be supportive, that you're simplifying things, and to let you know if they'd like to have anything. And if you're still using something, just make a list or add a little tag. My brother loved this crystal or glass polar bear that my grandparents had for a really, really long time. He actually put his name on a piece of tape and put it on the bottom of the polar bear. And then when they moved out of their home, he actually was able to take that bear. And I think that's really cute. Another thing to remember is if people are going to argue or fight, you could also just sell things. Margareta did that with a bracelet, although I don't know if she thought they would fight, but she just was like, I've got 3 daughters or 4 daughters or something, and I'm just going to sell this thing. So remember, the relationships are worth preserving. For me, one of the most important things is that my kids are like best friends as they're adults. So we'll see if that pans out, but that's my hope. Another valuable reason to do this ahead of time is that you get to make the decisions. I didn't actually want my grandparents to move out of their home, but that is what they wanted. And so that was what was best for the situation. And it's important to set boundaries and to stick to them, and in all areas of life. So especially in this one. And sometimes people, they want us to keep things because they don't want things to change. And that's what I was like. This is your home and you are making it comfy and cozy for you. If you have kids living with or visiting you, or husbands, who often are an issue that I hear about, then they start rummaging through what you've decluttered, just use dark bags, bring them to donation centers, and do it often. So often we take on a job like this and we get overwhelmed. So tired of always making decisions about old dishes that you once used, but you don't know because your table is too small, or a sweater that at one time you wore every day, but you don't anymore. And it just seems really strange to declutter something that you used to use so often. And it took Margareta a whole year to declutter her home. She says that she worked at a steady pace, and after she finished each room, she would take a break. So just be sure to start again. And remember, you're doing this for your family and for you. Just look at this nicely finished bookshelf. I got a lot out of there. Mostly just kept a little bit of a couple of books that were a little sentimental. Some things my older son can answer some questions about. Got a bit done in the closet too. So I am very pleased. Ariel did an absolutely gorgeous job decluttering her home too. And she is absolutely hilarious. Check out that right here, that video. Stay tidy and mighty. I hope something great happens for you today. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.